Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm so used to doing my lunch and learn lives on my phone that I'm not quite used to my setup. But I'm hoping that you can hear me now, right? Forgive me and my insanity. Shall I say it all again from the beginning? That was actually just, I planned that just so that we had time to build an audience, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. So today, ladies, what I wanted to chat about in Lunch and Learn Live is the role of the lover power type in making change big and small. And the reason for that is because over the course of the last few weeks in the coaching that myself and the training and coaching team have been giving in the Living the Change area, there is a fundamental theme that is coming up. And that is that right now, many of us are being faced with the call to make changes that are beyond what we can sort out single-handedly and by ourselves, right? We cannot, as one person, sort out climate change. We cannot, as one person, sort out racial injustice. We cannot, as one person, sort out political issues. There's nothing, but many of us are feeling called to have an impact and to make some change and have a role in this, to contribute in some meaningful way to many different issues that are going on in the world right now. Here's the thing that I need to say, though, that what I'm noticing in a lot of our coached community, a lot of the women that are working with us on things at the moment, is this. It is change maker burnout, or the beginnings of change maker burnout. And I'd be really interested to hear if any of you have experienced that before. I know at a very personal level, I've experienced it. I've experienced it myself many times over the years. Especially when you first get involved with making a difference to something, when you first have the pull on your heartstrings, when you first have that drive or that sense of the warrioress and the injustice in the world, whatever it is that triggers you into wanting to make a difference, we get overwhelmed with this kind of sense of wanting to make that difference. And that is what I want to speak to today, because we need to become conscious at the moment we make our commitment. Otherwise, we risk burning out and not being able to sustainably make a difference in anything. So that's what I want to chat about today. We're going to have a look at the role of the lover in that. And before I kick in, I just want to say hello to everyone. So I can see Jean is there today. Hello. Good to see you, Jean. Simone saying, oh, wow, I found yours aimlessly wandering through Facebook. Well, I'm glad you found me, darling. Glad you found us. Good to see you there. No, you're quite right, Karen. I couldn't see you put your thumbs up, but, I can see the comment. So thank you. Yes, I'm here loud and clear. Hello to everybody. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Julia. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you all. And so, yes, it sounds like, how many of you, in the comments section, please talk to me, ladies. How many of you have experienced that? You might not have got to burnout around it, but that whole change maker burnout on the horizon, that feeling of like, I really want to make this difference, but holy guacamole, I don't know that I can kind of sustain this. And you start wondering. Linda says yes, many times. Hetty says, oh, yes, right. So a few of us are starting to feel into that. Hi, Dunia. Good to see you, darling. Welcome. So if you've experienced that feeling before, I think the first thing to say is it's okay, right? When we first, if you might have been fighting passionately for climate change for some time. You might have been fighting passionately for changing the education system where you are for some time, right? Even if it's been going on for some time. If you've been fighting for some time, or even if it's a new thing, it's good that comes with all of the anger or all of the charge of warrioress. You know, we want to have that. It's that sometimes, or sometimes it's the grief of mother. I know for me, when I get my marching orders, or when I get a real bee in my bonnet to make a difference about something, it's because my heart cracks open from mother power type. It's a grief-based thing oftentimes. It happened to me about a year ago when I really properly felt the impact of climate change on you know, the whole world. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but I do feel things big and deeply. Many of you have seen, you know, in the last you know, couple of weeks, that this has been a big heart crack open moment for me in the context of understanding racism and the impact of the systemic structures on people of color at the moment. And for me, it's a triggering of grief and hurt. What I want to say is, for all of us change makers, it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what triggers us, what gets us into it, whether it's rage, whether it's grief, whether it's shame, whether it's guilt. You know, I don't care. If you're going to make great change in the world, who cares what gets you started? And sometimes it's very uncomfortable to get started. But here's what I do know to be true, having coached change makers now for over 15 years, and specifically working with women change makers here in the One of Many community for the last 5 years, is that if you let that emotion continue to be the fuel, then you will burn out. You won't be able to change things sustainably. I'm not saying for a second you let go of your anger. I'm not saying for a second you let go of the guilt or the consciousness around this. You don't have to let that stuff go. But if that is all that drives us, then what we do is we risk exhausting our systems and not being able to show up. And I've, you know, specifically in the context of the issue of racism over this last week, I have seen some incredible women of color. Layla Saad is a great example for me, and I look at her, how clearly she's setting her boundaries, how clearly she's asking for what she needs, how clearly she's coming from her lover power type in nurturing and nourishing of herself to be able to sustain the impact that she has in the world. And it is, for me, it's been a great lesson to be to witness how she's being in this current climate. And so for all of us change makers, you know, big and small change makers who are working in our local communities or at a global level, wherever we are, we need to be able to sustain. And the ability to sustain change has to come with an inner relationship with what we call here at One of Many our lover power type, right? This is a critical piece. It's a critical piece. So I wanted to speak to that today and to give some thoughts to it. So lover is the part of us that recognizes that we are gifted with but one human body in this lifetime. And we get one chance at it, right? And that this vessel is the manifest vessel through which we make our change. If we want our voices to be heard on a topic, our voice lives inside this vessel. Either it's, you know, we type it out, or we speak it out, or we sing it out, or whatever. But if we want our voice, the voice lives in the vessel, right? The message can only come through the manifest form of our vessel. So we have to look after this. Sometimes when we talk about lover here at One of Many, we focus so much on the aspect of her which is sensuality and is sexuality and is pleasure. And yes, she's the center of all of that. But she is the part, I think of her as the priestess that tends to the vessel. You know, she's the part of you that tends to the vessel. So if you're wanting to make change right now, whatever the issue be, right? Whatever the issue be that you want to make change on, then you have to make sure that you are spending some time to tend to your vessel. And I can see here Annette saying, you know, I'm trying to make a big change, but I feel paralyzed. Simone says, one step forward, a huge leap backwards. Rupa says, it's juggling work, life, and changing the world. How do I get that balance? I think there's no blanket simple solution is the first thing to say to all of this. It's not like, here's what you need to do. It's just do this and then this and then this, and that's how you make big change and you live, right? It's not It's not as simple as that. No, nothing worth changing is ever a simple solution. Otherwise, we would have done it already. It'd be done. It'd be changed. That said, I do think that each of us has to develop a very personal, simple solution in maintaining our energy for change, in maintaining our energy for that. And this becomes an aspect of enhancing our lover power type, not at the exclusion of showing up, not at the exclusion of doing what needs to be done. But I think this is what we speak to so much here at One of Many, and I think it bears speaking at every available opportunity. And it is to say that change needs to be made, but we need to sustain ourselves as we make it, as best we possibly can, right? As best we possibly can. And all of us have more or less freedom to be able to do that, to be able to turn the attention to ourselves and sustain. I truly get that. And I'm very present to my privilege in having some freedom to be able to dedicate some time to making sure I'm okay. You know, I can get that. And I feel that all of us want to prioritize our just our preservation of energy. Now, we talk about it in the context of our needs creed, so that we can, it's not preserving energy, that's the wrong word, not preserving, but nourishing our vessels so that we continue to show up to do what needs to be done. And we talk about it in the context of the tool of the needs creed. I don't want to talk about that today because there's a fundamental piece underneath it, which is a relationship with this power type that so many of us struggle with. Many of us will go out and be of service to whatever change we want to make, whether it's inside our organization, whether it's inside our family, whether it's inside our community, whether it's a global change that wants to be made. And we just make and we work hard. And without lover power type inside of us and internalized, we could absolutely burn ourselves out. So we need to appreciate that she is the one that tends to the vessel, as I said. She is also powerful in her leadership in that she leads through invitation and appreciation of others. That she allows when we can center in our lover power type, we can be an invitation to others to participate in the change. Yeah. And that is a critical part, I think, of any approach to anything. She is captivating and she's magnetic, but most importantly, it's her ability to nourish her own life force, right? It's the lover power type's ability to nourish her own life force. Now, for those of you who are here with me live, I'm really interested, for those of you who have done our power types profile, how many of you have, I'm interested in two things, either a primary lover power type, i.e. it is your most expressed, it's your number one, right? We'll have a talk about what the strengths of that are in just a moment. And what the challenges of that are. And also I'm interested in those for whom lover is least expressed, you know, who if you've done your power type profile, she's the one that you feel like least access to. So for those of you with me live, please do share a little bit. It's good to get a sense of where we are. One of the patterns, and of course this is not everyone in our community, but one of the patterns that we see in our community is very high mother power type and low lover or queen power type, right? That's a very common pattern. And what that does, when someone is primary mother power type, they're always looking to be loving and being of service and putting everybody else's needs before their own, sacrificing for those people they deem to be in their family. Or high warrioress will do a similar thing, but she sacrifices for her cause with a low lover power type. That is the very common pattern for where we're going to see change make a burnout, right? It's a very, very common pattern. So yes, a few of you are saying, so Simone says my lover was 36. Kathy says not my lowest, but right down there, close second. Rosemary, it's my least. Julie, lover is my second lowest. Julia, it's my least. Katrina, my lover is my lowest. The other four are pretty balanced. Yes. Debbie, mine is second to last. Jill, lover is least expressed for me. Helen says number 4 is lover, number 5 is queen, with mother my highest. Yes, so as you can see just from the women who are here with me live, for you ladies, this is a very, very common pattern. Now let's talk about why that's a common pattern in our culture. I'll bloody well tell you why. Because as young girls, we are brought up through either modeling of what we see or the way that because the only power type that we're allowed to have strength in is the mother power type. You know, culturally, this is the only one that's okay, right? Culturally, she becomes the only one that's okay, that we're allowed, and she sacrifices. So what is unconsciously drilled into us as little girls growing up in our family environments, in schools, is put everybody else's needs before yours, right? Everybody else's needs are more important than your own. Put yourself last. And then, because we're part of a global paradigm where our body is disconnected from spirit largely, right? There are some spiritual traditions in the world where body is a gateway to spirit, but a lot of the major religions, the body is seen as something wrong, right, or different from spirituality. And to have physical needs is wrong. To have desire is wrong in some way, shape, or form. So culturally, everything in our culture, if we grow up in your average average kind of British or average Australian, they're the two that I kind of have some closeness with, obviously through my lens and my filter. But certainly what I've seen in our community is this is common. Low lover is common for this reason and for many reasons. Each of us have individual reasons, but I think largely because of what little girls are told and because of what our traditions tell us about the role of the body in it's just this thing that hangs off the bottom of our head, right? So why would we care for it? Just even I see it through the lens of my medical background, where over the course of my medical training, there was never any conversation of the role of our emotions on our physical body. There was never any role of conversation. We manage ill health and then we get people to just not sick, and that's it. No kind of sense or conversation around, taking good care of ourselves, keeping the vessel well cherished. Like, it's just not even a part of the paradigm. It just isn't. So this is why we get to this situation. And then we find ourselves at very interesting moments, like what we're experiencing right now in this moment in time, where there's huge opportunity for women and men, and but of course we speak here mostly with women, to make massive change, and then running on empty, most of us go, oh yes, let's go make more change. Let's sacrifice a little bit more, or pull out, from, sorry, just getting another card here, or pull out from Warrioress and sacrifice for the cause more. Now, I'm not saying we don't need both of these right now. We absolutely need both of these power types right now. We absolutely need them both. And unless you, at a personal level, and no one is going to do this for you, but unless you, at a personal level, activate this little baby, you're gonna wear yourself out. You are going to burn out. Now more than ever, we're in lockdown, we are multitasking more than ever. Issues are coming to the surface at a rate faster than they ever have to be dealt with at a local, national, global kind of level. It's an amazing opportunity for the change makers, for we change makers, grassroots women leaders, to make change. But unless we've got her in our pocket, we're not going to sustain. And this is critical. It's critical. I love this. Thank you, Karen. Can you see, is that put the whole thing on? Yeah. Karen says, I found over the years that actively engaging lover has been a fundamental part of showing up in my work, my life, and in my relationships. Lover helps me really closely look at life. Yes. She'll encourage me to go for an early morning walk, slow down, sip my coffee slowly. Yes, this is it. So if we understand why, right, we need access to her because she is our access to life force. And without your life force, you cannot change anything, right? Without access to your life force energy, you can't change anything. So you absolutely need to be able to activate this and to be able to channel it. Yes, critical, absolutely critical. So how do we do it? How do we get access to lover, right? How do we get access to lover? And Karen's got some, Karen's one of our nearly certified coaches, aren't you, Karen? I think, have you done your exam yet, honey? Have you done it? You finished? Where are you up to? I'm interested to know. what Karen's advice here is fabulous. One of the ways that we can activate lover is through our senses. So rather than thinking about sensuality as sexuality, because they do get collapsed together a lot, I invite you to separate them and recognize that there's our sexuality over here, right? How we engage with sex and our sex drive and so on. But there's also our sensuality. And our sensuality is how we engage with life through our 5 senses. How we engage with what we see. And actually, I encourage you to follow Karen on Instagram or Facebook, because how she engages, she's a photographer as well as one of our coaches. And one of the things that Karen sees, the way she sees her back garden is different to how most of us sees our back garden. The way she sees things is different, and it can teach and train your lover to change how you see, right? To go out and live in your vision and slow down and see what you see on a walk. That will enhance your lover, right? It's also the sense of hearing. I've been in recent evenings going out into my garden in the evenings when the birds is just kind of, singing their goodnight songs and doing a bit of gardening once the kids have gone to bed. And just being present in my listening has deeply allowed me to replenish, to nourish, to nurture at a time when I critically need it. It's our hearing. It's our seeing. It's also our taste. So we can engage powerfully and deeply with lover and enhance our lover power type through the sense of taste. Sipping that coffee and savoring it. For instance, I'm so grateful to one of our beautiful, again, certified coach and trainer, Catherine. Oh my God, Wakefield. Who sent me a lovely gift to this moment. I'm not sure why, but it included 3 different types of coffee. One was from Guatemala, one was from Ethiopia, and the other was, I can't remember. I haven't had it yet. That's why I can't remember where the other one is. But I am distinguishing how different each of them are and which one I am enjoying more of these particular blends that she sent me. It's absolutely delicious and beautiful. So it's engaging the sense of taste can enhance your lover power type. Engaging the sense of smell. I mean, right now in this country, in the UK, I know for our Australians it might be slightly, no, there's things happening in Australia too in the autumn. But anywhere. But last night, oh my God, last night I went out for my walk, an evening walk, and I hadn't been outside all day. But as I stepped outside, that first little drizzle of rain was there, and it didn't really kind of turn into anything, which was great because that would have been a pain in the bum for my walk. But that smell of the first bit of rain on the bitumen, I love that smell. I love it. I don't know. I think it's because as a kid, it always meant that we were going to be able to eat our lunch inside rather than outside. We used to have to eat outside, rain, hail, or shine at my school, literally, unless it was pouring with rain. That smell always meant, oh, yay, we don't have to play outside. Now I'll do anything to get outside. So that was a key and critical part of it. Yes, please ask lots of questions, ladies. I'm happy to take some questions here in a minute as well. So that smell, and then I walked past the roses that were growing in the. There's a house near me with roses, the most exquisitely scented roses. Literally, slow down and smell the roses. It enhances lover. And then walking through my fields here, I'm so blessed to live where I live. To smelling the farm, smelling all of the delicious smells, the earth, the richness of the earth. It's an exquisite access point for lover. And then, of course, the sense of touch, right? The sense of touch. This is where the role of, a lovely, giving yourself a little hand massage. Like grab, if all you've got some vegetable oil in the kitchen, or some olive oil, or maybe it is some beautiful rose scented oil, I don't know, but just giving yourself a little hand massage or gently caressing your body and saying, hello, Hello, beautiful body that we only have one of, you know. All of these 5 senses can help us to enhance lover. And as Karen has beautifully said, allowing us to slow down, to just slow down and experience life and enjoy it, find the enjoyment in it. There was a beautiful video that was shared, I think, in the B1 community. I should have checked the name of the guy. I always do this. I think, but that's great. I'll come back and just get my head around that later. And then I invariably find myself talking about it and I don't have all the details. But come into the B1 global community if you're not already. And one of the ladies, or it might have been the Hearth, shared a lovely a song. It was a song which was called Good Morning. And this guy's written this song, and basically it starts with, you know, the world's gone to shit. It's awful. Things are terrible. But hey, we're alive. You know, make some coffee, make some love. We're alive. It's a good morning. And lover is the part of us that no matter how hideous things might feel around the corner, you know, maybe it's a spouse that we just can't speak to at the moment because things are so difficult. Or maybe it's a situation at work which is so against your ethical stance and you can't do anything about it. You feel paralyzed. You don't know how to approach it. Or maybe it's a child who's unwell. Or maybe it's a systemic issue like climate change, racism, right? Whatever thing it is that feels so horrific in your bones right now, that needs to change, unless we can find the part of us, the moments where we can say, there is beauty. There is beauty. From that, we can hatch the seed. We can hatch the seed to becoming sustainable change makers. Thank you, Simone. That was you, was it? Thank you. If you can grab the link and pop it again on here, I'd be really grateful, Simone. This was the guy, Alex Aono was the song. It was beautiful. I loved it. It made me weep and be grateful because it just spoke so much to LoverPowerType. So it's so critical. Thank you. Yes, so we need to activate and engage lover. So let me take a few questions on this, ladies. What do you got? What questions have you got on this? There's some nice shares too. Jilly says here, go to the aviary in Melbourne Zoo, standing still and listening. Gradually a whole world is revealed. What a beautiful idea. What a beautiful idea. Katrina says, how do you use your walk to engage all your power types, please, Joanna? Yes. So my walk, I generally go in the evening once the kids are in bed. Sometimes in the middle of the day. I will often use a walk as a pattern interrupt. If things get shitty and I can't make a decision, or I get stuck or overwhelmed, I'll often go in the middle of the day. Not often. If that happens, I'll often go for a walk. Is a better way of assessing it, of saying it rather. But yeah, how I use my walk. So I storm out in Warrioress, not in a bad mood generally, but I head out in Warrioress most of the time. Last night I hit outside and Lover took over because of the sense of that smell. It just slowed me down right from the get-go. But oftentimes I'll head out in Warrioress and I'll be very active and, you know, charging out, getting in my body, feeling into my body, and seriously being in my Warrioress. Then as I'm kind of getting further out and I've kind of done some exercise sort of scenario, that's when Lover starts to kind of engage and I start to really notice. Starting to notice the smells, starting to notice the taste. And if it doesn't happen naturally, I'll make sure I do it because it's easy for me to get stuck in my head and I could go for a whole walk, think about the problems that I'm trying to solve or, you know, whatever at the time and not notice a damn thing. So there is a point where I will always engage that and I will slow down. I will stop and smell things. I will feel the leaves, or sometimes take my shoes off and put my feet in the grass if I need to. There's a grove of trees just nearby here where I'll literally hug a tree sometimes and feel the tree and feel into the energy of that. So activating the Lover through my senses. I then usually, there's 2 places I go. One's around to my grove of trees, one's up where there's this incredible view. But either way, I find a moment to stop. And that's where I'll activate my sorceress and I do a grounding, sorry, husband's computer open, husband's computer closed. I'll do a grounding kind of process where I imagine tree roots growing out the bottom of my feet, and I get connected to source, and really just open up and feel into the interconnectedness of everything. Because for me, everyone and everything, that interconnectedness is the basis of compassion. It's the basis of empathy. It's the basis of understanding, and it's the basis of how we make change. Unless we fully understand that every single one of us is connected to every single one else, we can't make the kind of change that needs to be made in the world on any topic. So I spend that time to get connected into Sorceress. And then on the way back, I will activate Mother. So Mother is that part of us that she's deeply connected to the seasons and the cycles. So I'll take a little moment just to, and often again, it's not, basically each of these happens naturally now, but you can set, if you go the same route all of the time, you could set areas where you do it or whatever. But I then activate Mother, and then I come into a deep sense of unconditional love and caring for myself. So I look for ways that I can, reflect while I'm walking on ways I can be more compassionate to myself, forgive myself, be kind to myself. I think that's a critical thing for all of us who want to make change. And then Queen, and big part, like the whole thing for me is Queen, because walking and putting a problem or a vision or an idea out on the horizon, for me is always a really powerful way to be able to activate and see the future beyond the horizon and be able to make decisions and so on for Queen. If it hasn't happened naturally, that's I will do that, but Queen is my secondary power type, so that naturally happens for me. But it's something you can very, very physically, like, look out to the horizon and imagine the horizon, the vision that you see for yourself and for your realm. It might be a 10-year horizon you can see. It might be a 50-year horizon. It might be a 7-generation horizon. I don't know what it is you want to imagine, but put it out there and then keep coming back to that as you're sitting with whatever problems feel like they're in your face right now. You can often find a way through. So yeah, I hope that answers that question for you, Katrine, and gives you a bit of sense on that. Oh, that's beautiful, Dion. Yes, I can. Dion says, I gave myself a hug last night. It really, really helped. I think that's it. Yes, lover loves to be held by another, right? Absolutely. But if we can't be held by another, we can be held by ourselves. We can really love and cherish ourselves, absolutely. Valderine says, being outdoors is where I can easily engage both lover and sorceress without even thinking about it. I also love getting my markers out for a bit of coloring in with the kids. Beautiful. I love that. Lovely. Debbie says, my little boy is back to preschool this week, so we've walked slowly there and back, just letting him set the pace, letting him explore and listening to him and what he sees and says does this. I've so much to learn from him. Oh my God. Yes. Kids, especially young kids, right, before the age of 7, they engage in the world very much through the power type of lover, like sensuality. They're deeply sensual beings, right? If you want to learn lover, you just follow my daughter Rosie around for a whole day, and she engages in the world through all of her senses. Little kids do. They've not been taught to get in their heads and think about it. They're still in their body and in their senses. If you've got small people in your life, let them teach you how to be in lover. Let them teach you how to be, out and you want to take like Rosie just takes all her clothes off in the garden all the time. The best bit about it is she says, oh, I'm feeling a bit cold, Mummy. I better take my clothes off. She hasn't quite figured out the correct thing to say if you want an excuse for taking your clothes off if you're feeling warm. But I like it. I'm not judging. I watch her in the bath, and it's a sensual experience for her. I look at the way she washes herself and she wants to be with her body. It's delicious, right? There's a real deliciousness about it. And I think many of us, because of our, puritanical kind of, upbringing around sensuality, sexuality, and body, and it all gets collapsed into this one big thing called don't have sex before marriage, or if you do, you're a bad person, even if you're not religious. Like it's there in the culture. That we kind of, some of us can't even be with young children exploring their bodies around it. You know what I mean? There's a real sense of there's a real kind of, oh God, what do I do? My kid's playing with his penis. Is there a problem with your kid playing with his penis? Like, what's the problem? It's his penis. He can do whatever the hell he likes with it. They're your boobs. Do the hell whatever you like with it. Perhaps don't do it in the boardroom, But yay, a 5-year-old's not spending a lot of time in the boardroom right now, so maybe we're okay. Yeah, great question here from Karen. I used to feel a lot of shame and guilt when consciously choosing to harness my lover. Is that common? Yeah, and Karen, I think this speaks to exactly what I was just kind of sharing, that so many of us have been brought up from the point of view that, and I want to be really clear, my parents never said to me, don't have sex before marriage, right? My dad is a Catholic. My mum was Protestant, kind of, though she was baptized. I got baptized, or christened, beg your pardon. Sorry, I'm not sure which one goes with which. But I did go to I got a scholarship to a Church of England girls' school. So it was around, but I wasn't taught it. It was never Sunday school. We weren't a religious family, and it was never said. But it doesn't need to be said by parents oftentimes. It's just there, even if you were, some of us have had things like that said to us by parents, but it's in the fabric of our culture. It's right there in the fabric. It's ridiculous. We live in a society where we don't talk about sex and sexuality in our bodies, but porn is freely available to 8-year-olds. Like, tell me how that is in any way normal, right? I just don't get it at all. I do get it. I get why it's like it. It's because we have desires and our bodies are not wicked and evil. Our bodies are amazing. They're the vessel that hold, that hold our spiritual selves. We've got to take care of it. And so many of us are unconsciously swimming in a sea where body is bad. Sex is bad, sensuality is bad, body is bad, shouldn't pay any attention to any of it. I should be able to transcend, right? Transcend. There's this, and I don't want to badmouth, different spiritual traditions, but transcending is one version of it. But then if we live our whole lives outside of our bodies, just living in logic land, or even just in disembodied spiritual land, what about this bit that hangs off the bottom? Surely we chose to be in this for a reason, right? So I think that's such a critical piece for us. Critical, yeah. Let me take this question here. I can see, let's wrap up. I'll take these and I'll come back to you, Rosemary. So Helen says, I lost a lot of lover when I stopped ballet at 17 and then lost the sexual lover after second child. Yes. Yeah, it's not uncommon that women lose access to their lover power type after kids. First kid, second kid, third kid. Jean says, society tells you good girls don't. Yep, that's it. Yes, that's it, Jilly. I once watched a friend strip off and run into the surf on a secluded beach. I longed to do it. There was no one around, but something in me said, I better not. There was no logic to it. It was so oppressive, and it all comes from us. This is that embodied belief systems that are not our own, right? They're not our own. Oh my God. Don't even tell me. My daughter's anatomy book contains no reference to our reproductive organs. This worries me. Helen says, do you think 60-year-old lover changes? Not being 60, I don't feel experienced enough to answer that question for myself, from me. Having said that, Susie Heath is the woman to ask that question of, and I will ask her and come back to you on it. Or you can ask in the V1 community. We can start a conversation around it for sure. But let me come and take Rosemary's, take Rosemary's question, and then we better wrap up. I'm conscious of the time here as well. So Rosemary says, how do you communicate your requirements to a partner so that regular long-term time slots become free in your routine? I can do so for a one-off. However, arguments normally ensue between partner, children, and then the benefit is negated after ending whatever activity I have done. Left with the feeling, is this worth it? Any tips welcomed? Got it, Rosemary. So one of the pieces, one of the tools that we have is, I guess, a big... I'm making assumptions around your partner. Is your partner masculine energy, Rosemary? Could you answer that question for me? Because that can help me with my my answer. But one of the key understandings and things that we come from in one of many is an appreciation that there's a difference in the way that masculine energy needs to be communicated to and feminine energy needs to be communicated to. And ordinarily, we are, as women, we will communicate in the way that we need to be communicated to. So the first thing we've got to do is understand how that is different for someone who is centered in their masculine energy. And then you know, yes, we've got some support on that. Just in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into the details on that. Rosemary, if you're in our Living the Change program, we have the trainings in there on that. So jump in there and have a look at them. Having said that, I think what I want to speak to is the unconscious bit of the, is this worth it? And that is a question that you need to ask yourself, because I'm going to speak to what is a common pattern and might not be your pattern, but that is where we delegate or ask for support from someone, a partner or somebody else, and they don't do whatever the thing is that needs doing as well as us or as good as us or the way that we would do it. And so therefore we think we would rather have control over how something gets executed than the benefit of having had the time and space to nourish and nurture ourselves and be our best selves. I've had way too many clients who are like, well, I would ask for more help on the domestic stuff, but he just gets it wrong, right? He just doesn't do it right, so I may as well do it myself. Okay, well, what you get, if that's the case, is to be right. That's all you get. You get to do all of the domestic chores and you get to be right. And I'm not talking about your situation, Rosemary. Obviously, it's different. But this is a pattern that I see very commonly. So if you require long-term for your partner to take the kids, for instance, so that you can have your time, then know that you communicate for that. I need a time where I can have an hour to myself regularly every week, so that I can take care of myself and, you know, and nourish and support myself. Be the best mum, be the best partner for you. What do you need to give me what I need, right? It's a pretty simple approach to actually setting it up. But here's the thing. He or she will fail at it. They will fail. They will not do it perfectly every time, especially if you have predominantly been doing the childcare in the past. They will not do it perfectly. So the question is, are you going to stop at the first failure? Are you going to stop the first time there's an argument and say, okay, well, fine, too much hassle? Or are you going to say, okay, I am willing to invest the next 3 months of my life in knowing that I might not get the nourishment from my time away because I'm going to come back to a messy household where there's been arguments. I know that, but I am willing to invest the next 3 months of weekly having my date with myself so that in 3 months from now, these guys have figured it out that mum is not going to be here for 1 hour a week and I am going to be unavailable and I'm not going to care what arguments happened while I was away, and they can figure it out for themselves, right? That's where I'd be coming from for it. What are you willing to invest in your ability to access sustainability for the long term? What are you willing to invest? Are you willing to invest the time it's going to take to get to train someone, right? Now, you might be sitting there going, they should just be able to freaking do it. Yeah, maybe they should. But we are products of our cultural paradigm, all of us. And I would never hire someone into my business and expect that they would be able to execute a new role flawlessly within the first 3 months, right? It's not, it takes time to get used to a new culture. It takes time to get used to a new role and how to do it. And you've got to be able to fail at it. We don't give our partners permission to fail very much. We're not very compassionate with partners oftentimes. So Rosemary, I hope that kind of supports you in that there's some structures we can support you with in terms of scripting and how to be able to ask for what you need, right? Yes, that's there. And if you've worked with one of our coaches, that's there. But is this worth it? It might not be worth it. But again, I wouldn't hire a new customer service person and then when they can't answer every customer service email perfectly the first day, go, well, is it worth it to train them? Of course it's worth it. Otherwise, I've got to answer every email forever and we can't grow. It's the same in, I think, our long-term partnerships, right? I think it's, we have to be willing to be supportive and loving while everybody learns what we need, right? So yeah, really, really important. Really, really important. And recognize, Debbie says this, I had this on Saturday after the reset workshop. We ran a workshop on the weekend for some of our Living the Change participants. All I got was anger from my hubby afterwards and felt that I'd lost all that I gained during the workshop. Okay, Debbie, here's what you need to know. You can hold on to what you gained from the workshop. He does not have the power to take that away from you. He does not have the power to take that away from you. If he is angry, he is angry. It's his anger. It's not your job to fix his anger, right? His anger is his anger. Your job, if there is one and you can choose to participate in it or not, is to go, okay, what is it? Anger is the feeling that we get when we feel our boundaries have been crossed. Now, here's the thing. The person with the boundaries has a couple of questions. Are the boundaries appropriate? Are my needs appropriate? If they are appropriate, then you can support him with his anger by going, wow, yeah, that's not okay, and let me help you in this way. If his expectations are inappropriate or his boundaries are inappropriate, then there's a conversation to have about the appropriateness or otherwise of his boundaries. But his anger is okay, right? We've got to be okay with each other's anger. We have to be okay with each other's anger. Greg and I had a lovely conversation about this last night because I've been angry a bit lately because I've been knackered. And I said to him, I need you to be okay with my anger and I need you to help me to be better with the kids in saying, help back me up with the kids. Say, mum's angry right now. It's not personal. She's a bit tired right now, kids, and you're really pressing her buttons. Mummy, go and have some time. Or whatever it is. But we've got to be able to work together as a team. And part of that is being okay with each other's emotions and then going on the inquiry with, okay, what caused the emotion? What caused you to feel this way? Right? This is really critical. It's really, really critical. We won't get it right all of the time, right? We won't get it right all of the time. It's the chemistry of chemistry. We only need one person to change and everyone can change. But we won't get it right all the time. So back to you and lover, ladies, my invitation for you, and please share in the comment section. I want to hear from you. What is one thing you can do this week to continue to enhance your lover power type? Something new, something you've not tried before, right? Come back to those 5 senses: vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch. What's something you've not done before that might be a brave little experiment to nourishing your lover power type, especially for those of you who are feeling her a little low? Let's have some shares on that before we finish up here. I'd love to hear from a couple of you. Yeah. Oh, good, Debbie. That's good to hear, honey. Yes. Yeah. In a sane moment, have the conversation. The anger is okay, but just whoever's the angry person. You know how we're taught with disciplining our kids? We're taught timeouts, put the kid on the step and have the timeout. 9 times out of 10, it's better if the parent has the timeout. So that's where I think good, if we're blessed to be in a co-parenting situation, being able to support each other, to have parental timeouts is way better for our kids than putting our kids on steps, in my humble opinion. Yeah. That's it. My kid spends a bit of time on the step, but so does mummy. Great, some good shares starting to come through now. So Angie is going to be going to some live music or a gig. Yay! Simone is going to dance naked. Yes! Take your clothes off and boogie, baby. I have been known to do that on occasion, and it is fabulous. Do it. And this is the best thing. Like, who was it said earlier that wanted to run into the sea? Was that Jilly? Yeah, Jilly. This is the thing. You do it, and then you deal with. And this is not. I'm not mind reading. This is what it happened for you, Simone. But Jilly, I dare you to go find yourself a beach and strip off and do it, because there will be feelings about it. There will be the feelings of shame or I can't or I shouldn't, and go through them and go, why the hell not? And it's not until we do these things that we discover what's underneath us, stopping us from being more expressed in our Lover Power type or whatever that might be. Vic says, I think I will give myself some timeouts this week. Brilliant. Yeah. Darlings, Mummy's just going to sit on the step for a minute. I've been badly behaved. I'm going to sit on the step. You know you're doing a good job when your kid says to you, I apologized to James yesterday because I had been cross at the end of the day. We had a lovely day, all day together, and then Rosie she drives me bonkers. Sometimes she's nuts. I love her, but she's fucking nuts. And she wears me out, but then James, who's the good kid, gets the brunt of it sometimes, because he'll then ask one thing and then I snap at him, which is inappropriate, bad parenting. And it happened yesterday, and he was miffed rightly. And afterwards, I cried and I said, mate, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. And he said, Mum, I forgive you. Everyone has feelings. It's okay. And as long as you apologize to me afterwards, I understand. I'm like, yes, winning on one front. Good. Angie says, I agree. I put myself in timeout all the time. Lynn says, self-massage. I've been sent some tips from my massage therapist to do during lockdown. Beautiful. Excellent. Debbie's going to take a slow walk to pick up little one and enjoy what's around me. Beautiful. Beautiful. Karen says, eye contact. Lots of eye contact from my lover. Eye contact from my other power types is very different. Yeah, delicious. Delicious, Karen. Hey, Karen, check out a book called, you're going to love it. The Path of the Priestess by Sharon Rose. She has these, she's got these exercises in there on glances, like embodying, she works on the kind of embodying goddesses, and how each goddess has a particular way she engages with her, her eye contact and so on. Yes, that sounds like a fun thing to play with. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Good. Ruth says, I'm going to put myself in a timeout in a bubble bath. Yes. Jean says, I'm going to try to stop for 5 minutes and do nothing at all. Beautiful, Jean. I love it. Yay. Excellent. Leanne says, I've had so many of those conversations with my son, he now initiates them. That's it, right? We're training our little people to be good, great, big people, so that they're, they can be great parents or great teachers or great bosses or whatever they become in the future. It's so powerful. All right, my ladies, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. It has been, but we've had a very long lunch and learn today. Very long. Thank you for engaging with me. That's what has me stick around. It's when you ladies ask me questions and I just keep chatting, right? So I hope that's been helpful. Remember, Lover is your access to sustainable ability to create change. Look after yourself. Deeply nourish your pleasure. Your pleasure is key. Enjoy, angels. Enjoy. I'll see you next Tuesday. Till then, make sure you're in the B1 global community. I see most of your names here. I know most of you are, but if you're new and you're seeing this video for the first time, come and join us in the B1 global community. There's some fabulous conversations happening in there, an extraordinary community of certified coaches to support you in your work. And if you want to come do any of our paid programs, reach out to us and we'll help you and get you plugged in with something to support you with whatever might be going on. But lots of love to you wherever in the world you may be. Bye. Where's the end button? There it is.